Most gardeners spend hundreds on fancy fertilizers while throwing away the one material that could, honestly, transform their lifeless dirt into living, breathing soil. The secret lies buried in your compost bin or burn pile right now, and once you understand its power, you'll never look at garden waste the same way again. That sweet earthy smell after rain doesn't come from nowhere. It's actually the signature of Actinomycetes, those microscopic soil architects working tirelessly beneath your feet. These filamentous bacteria function like underground construction workers, breaking down tough organic matter into rich humus, while producing natural antibiotics that protect your plants from disease. The key to summoning these soil builders? Well, it's those fibrous, woody garden scraps you've been discarding. Unlike fast-acting bacteria that devour simple sugars and disappear, Actinomycetes specialize in demolishing the hardest materials in your garden. They feast on cellulose, lignin, and chitin, the compounds that make plant stems tough and resistant. This slow, methodical breakdown creates the stable organic matter that gives healthy soil its structure and fertility. These microbes don't just decompose material, they actively defend your garden. Actinomycetes produce compounds that suppress harmful fungi like fusarium and pathogenic bacteria that attack plant roots. Think of them as your soil's immune system, constantly working to maintain a healthy underground ecosystem that supports vigorous plant growth. You know, the materials that attract Actinomycetes fastest are actually the ones most gardeners think of as waste, stuff like corn stalks, sunflower stems, dried bean stalks, and even those papery peanut shells. These fibrous scraps take a lot longer to decompose than your average soft green materials, which, honestly, makes them just perfect food for Actinomycetes. When you go ahead and incorporate these woody stems into your soil or compost, you're basically creating these highways of cellulose and lignin that Actinomycetes just love to colonize and spread through. A single dried corn stalk, if you chop it into 2-inch pieces, becomes a feeding ground for massive colonies of Actinomycetes. Within a few weeks, you'll probably notice white thread-like growth spreading across the material as these microbial architects get to work establishing their networks. So you might wonder why beanstalks actually outperform those expensive wood chips when it comes to building soil life. The answer really is all about density and carbon-to-nitrogen ratios. Hardwood chips are just so dense they can resist microbial attack for years, and they often end up tying up nitrogen in the process. Corn stalks and similar materials, on the other hand, have a carbon-to-nitrogen ratio of around 60:1, compared to over 300:1 for hardwood chips. This makes fibrous garden scraps tough enough to attract Actinomycetes, but not so resistant that decomposition stalls. They bridge the gap between fast-rotting greens and nearly indestructible wood, creating the perfect environment for sustained microbial activity. To harness this power in your compost system, use the proven layering technique. Combine 1 part chopped woody scraps with 3 parts nitrogen-rich green materials. If you have a bucket of chopped bean stalks, layer them under 3 buckets of grass clippings or kitchen scraps. The Actinomycetes will colonize the tough stems while bacteria handle the greens, creating a perfectly balanced decomposition system. Moisture control is critical here. Your pile should feel like a wrung-out sponge, damp but not soggy. Too dry and the microbes go dormant, too wet and anaerobic bacteria take over, creating that slimy, foul-smelling mess nobody wants. Cover your compost with a tarp or thick mulch layer to maintain consistent moisture. Unlike fast composting methods, you don't need frequent turning because Actinomycetes work slowly and steadily. When you do flip the pile every few weeks, look for white, cobweb-like networks stretching across the woody material. That's your confirmation that the soil architects are on the job. If composting isn't your style, trench layering puts these scraps to work directly in your garden beds. Dig shallow trenches about 6 inches deep and fill them with a mixture of chopped stalks and shredded stems. Then, just backfill with soil, water lightly, and cover with mulch. Use a ratio of 2 parts chopped woody material to 1 part soft green waste. This balance provides sustained food for Actinomycetes while supplying enough nitrogen to prevent the system from stagnating. Within 4 to 6 weeks, these microbes begin colonizing the buried material. By next planting season, those trenches become rich pockets of humus that feed crops and improve soil texture dramatically. In heavy clay soils, this method creates air channels as materials decompose, giving roots easier pathways. And in sandy soils, the resulting humus holds water and nutrients far longer than bare sand could manage. Successful Actinomycete colonies announce themselves through unmistakable signs. Look for white, gray, or faintly pinkish threads spreading over tough scraps. Unlike slimy molds, Actinomycetes appear dry and powdery, almost like flower dust. That classic earthy aroma rising from your garden is their signature perfume. These microbes prefer slightly neutral to alkaline conditions, thriving in pH ranges of 6.5 to 8. If your soil runs acidic, dust your scraps with wood ash or crushed eggshells before burying them. During hot months, maintain a 2-inch mulch layer to preserve moisture and keep their habitat stable. Every season you add fibrous stalks, you're feeding your underground workforce. Each layer becomes another construction project, with results that compound year after year. Gardeners who consistently use this method watch their soil transform from compacted and crusty to loose, friable, and dark. Their crops respond with stronger root systems, fewer disease problems, and higher yields. This approach isn't about instant gratification. Actinomycetes work on nature's timeline, building soil architecture that chemical amendments could never replicate. But that steady progress creates something invaluable. Living soil that resists drought and disease while smelling like life itself. Ready to unlock the hidden workforce in your soil? Subscribe to Crop Corner for more game-changing gardening secrets and share this guide with fellow gardeners who are ready to see their garden waste as liquid gold.